All right, hello guys, welcome to the Amazon Nomads. I'm with Thomas, Parkinson, and Seth.
Hola.
Okay.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Shorty Cup, but obviously I'm in Mexico.
That means hello, thank you, in Thai.
BN.
Shorty Cup is hello.
We did this last week. Can you not remember, Gavin?
No.
Too much reggae fun.
Too much. What have I even been doing over the last week? It's just been raining, actually. I haven't done much. Although my biking skill is getting pretty good now. I'm not going to lie. I got a little bit faster. 5 kilometers more than usual. No.
It always just worried me about going in bikes in Vietnam and Thailand. I was like, I will die if I just the problem about it is you're fine until you're not fine. And when you're not fine, it's a big problem.
Yeah, that's completely it. It's like you're staring, you're on your bike in shorts, nothing else, like a t-shirt, like a helmet that doesn't protect you. It just protects you from the police, right? Because if you have it, the police won't stop you. And that's it. Yeah. So if you crash at like 50 kilometers, you're pretty much gone.
And when it's wet, it's so bad. Like,
that's true.
Like, that's the most scariest thing.
Yeah,
it's not your fault.
Pulled over.
I've slid a few times in big puddles. You can't do anything. You just stay still and hope you don't crash.
Yeah, and the potholes are so big. You don't know if the potholes are 3 inches deep or like 10 inches. So
it's like a diving board.
Yeah. So dangerous.
I am wondering if they like wreck the bike because there's some serious potholes here. But mostly the roads in Koh Samui are pretty good, I'd say. The main roads at least are pretty good.
Yeah, better than Vietnam for sure. Better than buying a motorbike that you've never ridden before for $200 in Hanoi and then riding it down to Ho Chi Minh.
I rented
one. Pretty scary.
Yeah, I rented mine for like $10 a month. It was like nothing.
Yeah, well, I bought the whole thing for $200. Like and then at the bottom painted it up and then resold it for a profit. So that's when you knew I'm an arbitrager before it even started.
Love it.
Yeah, made a profit on it. $50.
That's pretty sick.
Proper hustler. Right, if anyone's watching today, what are we going to be talking about? I think we had a little summary context before. Seth, do you want to give us a rundown? Or should I give it? I give the rundown?
I think the rundown was we're going to talk about Pioneer. I don't know why, but Gavin's going to inform us on that. Black Friday, which is a bit more relevant to you two as well. And then a little bit of our travel plans for the next foreseeable, and then whatever else comes into our brains, I think. Do you want to start us off, one of you two, with Black Friday? Because it's probably the most relevant thing.
So I'll tell you the thing, I'm going live a lot on my channel, and the one question which we had within my community was about, are people holding the money by Black Friday deals, or are you just spending as normal? It's a really good question. Like, should you hold money for Black Friday, or should you just continue to spend as normal? Number one, me and my own business, I'm just spending as normal and not holding money back. Like, if we find good deals, we'll do it. Number two, when I went live, like 90% of the people said that they would spend as usual. They weren't holding back. But also number three, I remember 4 years ago when Tesco Direct existed, I used to buy lots of Playmobil, worked really well. 3 years ago, so a year later, I was like, cool, I'm going to do this again. I made a fortune, went and brought like so much stock, but also as well, everyone else did the same thing on the Black Friday deals. And the one thing that I really learned, especially about it, is like during these times of big sales, people will also be looking for good deals, and you get some really good ROI products. But the problem comes is if you're buying products which are maybe like slow to medium sales, which everyone thinks is okay normally, but because of such a high ROI, everyone goes super deep on. And what we had like a Playmobil ambulance once. I went kind of like 2 months worth of stock on. I think everyone else did it. I still had stock 1 year later that wasn't profitable. Like, it was never profitable for an entire year. And it was, by the way, it was selling like 30, 40 units a month in Amazon. It still wasn't profitable. So I think my advice for anyone, if you're just doing Black Friday, is whether you want to buy or hold, not a problem, just go for the fast selling items. Because if the market...
Can I jump in there quickly? Sorry to interrupt. So obviously you've mentioned there that you went deep on a product and it didn't sell for a whole year. Are there any tips for the listeners of how you can possibly dissect which products are more likely to do that and which ones aren't? Or
we don't know. You'll never know. But what you understand is the same thing, that all the people are looking at generally the same stores. So assume people are probably going to go deeper on the products because it's only available for 1 day and you're not going to be able to rebuy. So my advice kind of there would just be like, just probably only go deep on the fast selling items. Don't go deep on the medium to slow selling items, because if you get caught and everyone else has done the same thing as you, you're going to get 1 year later. But fast selling items, you're okay. Like, if the price crashes, it will sell out eventually. You might have to wait 2 or 3 months, but you'll be fine. That'd be my advice.
So like top 0.5% BSRs, or just
anything over like 50 to 100 sales a month, I think you'd be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gavin, what are your
Would you
thoughts Black
agree on that,
Friday?
Gav?
I agree with everything you said completely. One thing I would say though is understand the price that you're buying the item at. Like, if you normally buy an item for 40% off, right now you can buy it at like 25-30% off, then I will consider waiting for Black Friday. So if I bought that item for cheaper previously, then I will consider waiting out a little bit. But this would also depend on how much capital you have available. If you're saving all your capital for that kind of move, then you might be in a spot above it. There's also no guarantee that anything purchased during Black Friday we can get into Amazon for December, right? So in terms of buying seasonal items, I probably wouldn't buy seasonal items unless I'm going to FBM that straight away. Then I had another thought, but it's just gone over my head. What was it? Go on, Seth. I'll let you speak and I'll have a good think.
Well, I've actually got absolutely no Amazon seller related advice for Black Friday because it's just never applied for me, because I don't think you can buy any books cheaper unless it's like really cheap books that we wouldn't profit on anyway. But I was actually just going to ask on a personal level if either of you guys, I mean, I know Gavin, you're traveling, so you probably haven't, but Tom, have you actually been shopping yourself for anything Black Friday related and found anything good? So my example is we needed a new vacuum cleaner, so I got a vacuum cleaner on a very good deal.
So domestic.
Very sexy, very excited, very exciting. Yeah, that's coming tomorrow. But I just think it's a bit of a scam anyway. Obviously, as Amazon sellers, we know that the deals are rarely actually good, are they? It's just
no. There's some gems, man. Come on, dude. There's some gems. There's some.
Well, yeah, I don't really know, because I'm usually just looking for tech. Like, for example, Tom, your headphones one year they were very cheap, and I think I picked them at 1 year for like way less. But I think that's the best deal I've ever had or seen.
So, for example, ASOS last year had 50% off the entire website. 50% off on like Charlotte Tilbury, which is mental. I was cautious. I only bought like $7,000 worth of products. I was scared of getting cancelled. If I didn't know I was going to get cancelled or I wouldn't get cancelled, I would have bought like $30,000 worth easily. Because as Tom said, they all sell ridiculously quick. 50% off is a huge amount. And back then, nobody really knew of ASOS as a main seller of beauty products. Now they do. Now ASOS is far more saturated than it was in the past.
Right.
So if you have items that you can track back to the supplier, where you can see that they're not tanking as much as your other items, then you can even go deeper on those items as well. I guess that's what the USS is good for. If your margin for that website is really high, you can have more faith that less people are finding those items on the website, right?
But it just takes time
to build that
and experience. Yeah, you can't just do it on your first Black Friday.
Yeah, and I think some people also as well, they look at like, they do the classic thing whereby they look at the buy box now, maybe even the buy box over the 90 days, and then they're like, wow, this is like, normally I get 30% ROI, this is going to be a 70% ROI, like I need to buy more. And, I understand what you're saying, but I think my advice just for that would be like, if you are going to go down that route, just do it on fast selling items, because if they're not, then it's going to be like, if you don't know, like if there's a Gavin in the world, I wouldn't give him that advice. I think he knows the complexities. If someone's like starting out and maybe find a 70-100% ROI product, like don't do it on something which is selling 5 per month, because like it's probably going to get tanked and you won't achieve 100% ROI. You'll probably achieve a 3% ROI because too many people have brought exactly the same deal as you.
So the classic tip for newbies is go wide and not go deep, pretty much, until you're in at least your second Black Friday, probably.
Or you just go deep on fast selling items, as Tom said.
Yeah.
50 to 100, 50 sales a month in the UK, at least 100 sales a month in the US, that'd be considered fast.
But you also want to always be looking at the last December sales, not the last 3 months, because the last 3 months doesn't matter. There's tons of gift sets and stuff like that. And I guess another tip would actually be, have a look on the Keeper Product Finder, set the creation date to the last 1 month, and see all the new listings which have added and got a BSR. Chances are those items will come in demand quite quick. If any new listing gets a BSR pretty quick, I'd imagine that a lot of people are searching for that item and are already purchasing it. It usually takes time for a new listing to get a BSR. Now,
wait, can you break that down a little bit more, because even I don't quite understand. Is this like people creating bundles? You just mean genuinely new products? It could just be a new video game that's just
new products in general. Like, let's say Charlotte Tilbury
okay.
releases a new makeup primer, right? Because Charlotte Tilbury is such a popular brand, there's loads of marketing around their products. So the second they're released, people are immediately searching for it on Amazon. And because of that, like, it doesn't have a solid BSR right away. Maybe the listing is like 30 days old and its BSRs only just came onto the listing. For me, I would take a gamble on those listings and go a bit deeper, because I know that there's going to be less people hopping onto those listings because it's too new for a lot of people. So for me, those present a pretty good opportunity.
Yeah, that's the top tip right there, I think.
I love this.
It's a bit risky, but
yeah, I love it. I love like, Gavin is a technical genius. I absolutely love it. And I'm sitting here going like, do you think I should tell my team to do that? And I'm like, they can kind of like figure it out themselves. Like I probably will. I'm just have a quick look now and keep it. But it's really interesting. Like I love that about Gavin. Like he's looking at, like, by the way, because the real question you've got to ask is like, what's your edge? And Gavin's looking at these edges. He's like, my edges, I find products that have just been released. I look for the ones in the BSR, and they're probably, and then I'm going to scroll through and look at the brands that I know, and I'm going to see, are these new products? And I'll probably try and find those products to flip, because other resellers won't see it yet because it's too new and they're not spotting it all. And by the way, this is why Gavin has a much higher ROI than I do, because he has the edges. He looks at these little like kind of unique value propositions, and I don't. So I think top tip for you, if you're a big seller, you can be lazy like me, but Gavin's not a small seller at all. He's a big seller as well. But the idea is that what I love about Gavin is that he finds those edges, and that's like fucking amazing. Really, really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
One more
Keeper
thing.
Product Finder is massive for
Yeah,
that. Sorry,
it's-
yeah, you do one more thing, Gav.
One more thing that I stress to my team all the time, just because a product is sitting at 10% ROI or 15% ROI, even though we only go for like 30 or 35%, does not mean it's a bad product. You want to look at the trending of the offer count, right? Like, and if it's a fast-selling item and the offer count is trending down for like the last month, chances are, if you have like a 3-4 week lead time, the question is, will the price recover to a good price point when you get that product into Amazon? Whereas when you're buying a product at 50% ROI, more people will like that, more people catch on to it, so it's more prone to tanking. Buying an item at 15-20% ROI, when the average selling price is like 30% higher, that's a fast seller, will more likely rebound back up. And then once it's rebounded back up, other people will start buying it. But you're already on the listing at that point, selling it at a good price.
That makes a lot of sense too. Top tips here.
Yeah, I stress that to my team a lot. I think that's really important, because I'd rather buy an item that is going to recover soon than buy an item that is going to tank soon. Because if something's too good to be true, because it is too good, then chances are everyone sees that and everyone gets excited, people buy too much, it tanks.
I think that's the thing which I'm trying to explain about Black Friday, whereby you find a deal with 100% ROI. Wow, this is amazing. This is the best deal I've ever seen in my life. And it's too good to be true, and everyone else sees it. And that's why I got caught up in 3 years ago with bloody Playmobil ambulances. Everyone bought it. It was selling, it's still selling 30 units per month, which ain't bad in the UK. But my God, within like 2 weeks, the listing went to 1,000 units of stock. Like it just got like so saturated. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Why? Because Playmobil did a massive like 5 container deal to Tesco Direct. Everyone found it on Tesco Direct, bought it, shipped it into Amazon thinking they're going to get 100% ROI, crashed down to 0. And then what happened is a year later, little old Tommy's stuck was still in stock. So if it seems too good to be true, be careful. That's what I'd say. And I think Gavin's good.
Yeah, I mean, surely, yeah, would you not just be worried? So for that example there with Playmobil, Tesco Direct, was there a limit on how many you could buy? And you don't know how much stock
there was. It was 12. You could just keep
Obviously.
putting through lots of orders.
Right.
And they never
So
got
limits don't
cancelled.
count. In the OLED game, limits do not count, Seth. Unless
Yeah.
it's Amazon
No, it's just-
Business is giving you a limit.
Right. No, of course. I'm just saying that if Tesco have got a Playmobil thing, I guess I would just be worried that, exactly as you said, Tom, so like everyone else is seeing this because Tesco is one of the biggest like retail sites in the UK. Everyone else can see this deal. Everyone else can use their OA software, or they can just manually source themselves, right? So that would just scare me, I guess. But I don't know if that's just because I'm inexperienced with actual OA, probably.
Yeah, I think our job is to, where do we make money? We make money by having an edge, finding value, overcoming order limits, finding products aren't listed, getting ROI. But sometimes those edges we try and take advantage of, but they're quite simple edges, i.e. like buy stuff from Tesco Direct. By the way, it doesn't exist anymore, but like buy it from this well-known retailer that's having a great deal. We think, well, hey, I've got my edge. It isn't, and we think we've got an edge, but we haven't, because everyone else is taking advantage of that edge, and as a result, we lost it. I think and like Gavin talked about, like buy products which are not profitable now, buy products which will become profitable by the time they go in and know the Q4. But like that's an edge. Why? Because you're taking a risk on other people.
What I will say
all
though is
products.
the struggle I'm having with all of these, like, yes, I'm very technical, but that's harder. I don't source anymore, and that's harder to push onto or to teach VAs. It's like, do you want to keep an edge where you're primarily involved heavily, or try and teach it to your VAs who probably won't do it as good as you, but can still do it to a degree, and slightly lose your edge and make less money, but be more free on time? But then I guess your team becomes your edge, because you've then got a team, and then your systems and processes become an edge after that. So then that just becomes very semantical.
But that's business, isn't it? What's your
Yeah.
business? What's your edge in business is the fact that you can execute consistently at scale. That
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sure. Like, you know, like, let's put it this way: like, I'm not as good as Gavin sourcing, and Gavin will whip my ass and probably my entire team's ass at sourcing. But if it was my entire team versus Gavin, we'd probably make more profit quite easily because we're just bigger and we make less money per product, but we can do so much more volume. You know, I have like 40 staff, 40 times 40 hours a week versus Gavin working an 80-hour week. It's a no-brainer. You know, admittedly, we're going to need more resources, but at the end of the day, it's again what you're figuring what your edge is, and a lot of business is about being able to scale it up. Why? Because there's economies of scale, and I'm happy to take a lower margin because obviously my staff cost less, and I get a lot of cash in the bank. But percentage of what I make versus Gavin individually sourcing, hell no, he'd way beat me margin-wise. But like, I'd probably make more physical cash because I just got.
But then I would just have a job, right? If it was just me, just me doing it all, I would just have a job. It's
my like midway point between what both of you guys are saying is that obviously the team is the most important thing because we don't want a job. It's also really good to be very analytical and advanced with Keeper. But what I've been thinking about this week is I have a developer who kind of works with me on a bespoke software finding books, and the way I'm thinking about this is that I want to make it as easy as possible for my team to do their job, so they actually don't need to be amazing at sourcing, right? So as long as the tech is really good and it's sending them really amazing deals, and I keep perfecting this software with my developer, which is becoming as automated as possible, then you effectively exiting myself out of the business by doing this work with the developer, right? So that would be my advice to you, Gab. Well, I don't know if you've got a developer, but if you can find a developer to build you something bespoke to help you source shoes, which will make your team's job easier, then you're going to be so much more powerful because you can apply your technical edge of Keeper, tell that to the developer, and then your team will benefit. And then as you grow your team, you're just going to become more powerful over time. So
yeah, I think I need some more time to finally learn shoes, and I think the way I can apply with what you're telling me is by creating an automated search function for the shoes which have the lowest return rates. So that way we're searching very specific shoes, but then do we factor that into replenishment? But yeah, that's kind of like the idea I would have of using something like that.
I really agree with what you're saying, but also just be mindful it doesn't have to be software. It can just be have a very simple SOP, like a search process. Go to Keeper, find those products which are low now, which has got high sales rank, review them for this. This is the graph that you're looking for. That's it. Like, that could be your SOP. That requires no software. Yeah, you could automate it, but like,
then
we're doing work.
If everything is too easy for your employees, then they won't really grow much, and then you create an issue within the business where you don't have enough competent people if you want to grow to a larger scale.
No, I disagree. I think
you can switch them out.
I think, like, by the way, it's kind of, I think a very good analogy would be like SAS, for example, the sourcing toolkit, or even Keeper, for example. These are tools which make our jobs more efficient, but there's still an element of human interaction. So, you could say, like, before the Keeper existed, I'm going to build a tool which shows me the historic buy price because that means I can make better buying decisions. That's my edge. And then what someone realized is that, hey, I can just do this for everyone and then sell it as a service. So my only internal edge now becomes an edge that I give to everyone else. And what Alex Formosi talked about was really interesting. It's like the whole idea behind an entrepreneur is what we're trying to do is make the next generation's lives easier. So if the next generation can do what we're doing quicker and easier, then that's success, which I think is a really interesting thing. So our job is obviously to build SOPs to find products cheap and sell them on Amazon for a profit. And if you look back in Amazon 5 years ago, there was more profit, but it was a lot harder. Whereas now with SOPs, software tools, it becomes a lot easier. Why? Because people are trying to build these systems out to make it, on their own businesses, and then they realize, hey, wow, it works. Let's sell it. Let's give it to other people. For example, like with me, with VAs, we started doing VAs myself. People ask me 550 VAs later, like everyone's got a VA. So that makes a big, that's the kind of thing. So it doesn't generally have to be software. It can also just be processes, how you approach your business, what you're doing. Even how, like, this is how I do my Keeper searching. That's my edge.
Yeah, that's a great point. And my question I pose to both of you here is that so with books, we've got, and I'm sure you've got this with shoes and Tom, I'm sure you've got different methods of sourcing, right? So with books, we have different sites that we like to buy from. We've got different ways of sourcing, whether that's like storefront stalking or using this bespoke software or using Keeper alerts or using Product Finder. And you can obviously create SOPs for all of these. But would you, if you've got like a team of more than say 2 or 3 people, would you like section one staff member or one VA on a particular sourcing technique and one on another, or would you let them do what they're best at, or would you want to choose one that's kind of making the most profit based on the USS or your inventory labs data? Like, does that question make sense? And if so, what do you think?
From my perspective, I think if you've got one or two VAs, you can just kind of, I think there's an element of, I think in any business, the way I'd kind of approach the problem if I was a small small person, like small team, should we say, is I'd probably do one quarter whereby I let them do what they want, see the results, and then we look at the best working thing, and then we focus out on for the next quarter. And you're doing a constant process of iterating to try and find the best solution. So it's kind of like, I'm going to target you in, say, for example, beauty, and then after that, what we're going to then do is let you go free so you can go outside because everyone's can play. And then if you can't get the same result, we're going to go back to beauty. But if you can get a better result, by the way, it might say that you go somewhere else. And the reason why I say that is because I do think there's an element of like doubling, like we know USS does it. You double down on those profitable stores. So instead of doing like beauty, it could be like, right, 50% of your time should always be spent on those most profitable stores. That's what we want. Then but when you get bigger, like my team, if I let people do what they want, they'll all jump into like Walmart or Argos, for example, and all source that. And I'm like, this is called stupidity. I'm going to have 5 people sourcing the same store, finding the same deals. I might as well just cut 4 payroll. So we then have to control it to account for human nature and tendencies. So we've broken it down by categories, which has been quite useful, again. And then, by the way, what we do is we put incentive schemes in place with the teams to get them to compete against each other. And why do we do that? Because what we understand is if there isn't an inherent rivalry or inherent team culture within that category, what they are going to do is just work individual, and they'll probably, like the 5 in the team, for example, will jump on the same supplier. Whereas if they have a greater goal bigger than themselves, they're likely to work together to try and say, hey guys, let's go into Walmart, but you do A to M and I'll do N to Z. So now they're separating their labor. So now we're not getting crossover. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's something I totally need to do because I've spent a lot of money and time developing this software I'm talking about. And I know the power and potential of it, but I don't think my team quite understand how good it is yet. So they're using other techniques, which are making us great amounts of money, but we're not necessarily progressing in the way that I know that we can. So like what you said, I think I'm going to take on board, and I'm going to have to incentivize this software and people, the team buying books on that software to a higher degree versus the other sourcing technique. So it's so that they're more likely to use that, right? And then I'm hoping over time that will mean that we'll be able to buy more books overall and in general with that method. But yeah, that's something to think about for sure, especially when you've got 2 people working at the same time, right? Like you say, you don't want them both to be doing the same thing because it's kind of waste and a bit pointless.
There's a really good thing that I always kind of think about is create environments which deliver the result you're after without having to tell them what to do. A good example would be like, I live in Mexico City, we've all been here. They have really nice walkways. They have bikes that you can rent, and they have lots of green flowers. What does that do? It makes people want to rent the bikes, which are like really cheap. They're $20 for a year, like unlimited usage. Like you can get the bikes and you can go cycle around these beautiful bike paths, and they're really well catered for. And there's no traffic, and it's green. So what you're doing is you're not telling people to go on the bikes. You're creating an environment whereby people want to get on the bikes naturally. So, and that can be through incentive schemes, it can be through anything else. Like even for you, it's like when you're looking at I'll tell you one thing you could do very simply just with you. Number 1, install Google Analytics onto, or install, I'm sure you have a login, for example, the software. Maybe just the login counts how long or even the number of pages viewed. All you're going to do is every day you get a report from that system that says how many pages viewed by each user. And all you do is you share that and you recognize the person who does it once. Why? Because we want to be recognized, and what they're going to do is go, wow, Seth's recognizing, Sir's recognizing Bob on this. I want to spend more time. And you'll probably just see by the fact that you're not even telling them to do it, you're just recognizing the fact that you're seeing that number go up, or you're seeing that who's got the highest number, they'll probably spend more time on it. And you're not telling them, you're creating a focus on that area. You're creating an environment whereby, oh, I never knew, or maybe you highlight the success of what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I found that just a few words of encouragement on a DM to a VA.
Do it publicly. Do it publicly.
Yeah, but I'm saying that this is what I mean though. Just a DM,
yeah,
massively improved one of my VA's performance that month and a couple of months after, and I just thought that's crazy that just a word of encouragement or just appreciation can do that, which is crazy really. It's good to know.
I think the other one, if you think about should we say when a girl walks up to you and they're like, hey Seth, you're looking really ripped today. You're like, oh wow. And you're going to think back, what have I done over the last few days that, oh wow, I haven't eaten too much, I've been on a bit of diet and I've been hitting the gym. Oh cool, I like this. This is a good feeling. So I'm going to continue the behavior which gave me that feeling.
And even improve on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But side tangent to those bikes in Mexico, I think I know the ones you're talking about. They don't incentivize tourists very much because it's about $5 for not very long. I know you.
No, you're right. You can buy pay for the year for $20.
But I think I remember trying to do that, and you needed a Mexican billing address or something. Either way, I struggle because I'm not very techie, but it's super expensive for the day or the hour, and then the year is just it's classic Mexico. It's a bit of a weird.
But they do on the Sundays, and I will just shout on the side note. On the Sunday, they give out free bikes. and they had shut down half the roads in a capital city, the fifth largest city in the world by population, and you can go cycle around it, which I think is incredible. And what does it do? They give out free bikes, and you just need to show your passport, and that's it. You don't even give them your passport, you show it, and then, well, I can go cycling. And I think then what does it do? You see thousands of people on bikes every Sunday.
Yeah, I was always too hungover to do that, unfortunately. But next time I'm there, 100%, I have to do it.
I've done it once in a year, so I'm not going to lie.
Well, there you go. So
Gavin?
I think Gavin, we've Black Friday'd out, but you wanted to talk about Pioneer, did you?
Pioneer, right. So I have a big problem with Pioneer, right? Worst timing ever as well. So I was...
For people that don't know what it is as well, do you just want to say what it is?
So Pioneer is a massive loaning platform for Amazon sellers or many other types of sellers, but they cater to Amazon sellers and they charge you a fixed rate. So I was being offered a 40 grand loan with a 5% interest cost, but 30% reduction in fees as a reimbursement. So from a 40k loan, I would have to pay back 1.2k, which is really good, right? That's really good. Now, I was setting it up, had my first Amazon disbursement to the account, and this is, they ask for that so they can determine how much they're going to offer you for a loan. Now, I was waiting until around the second week of November to take the loan until I needed it. It's only a 3-month term, so I can draw it out for as long as possible. However, the second disbursement from Amazon of like 24 grand did not arrive in the account. Another disbursement of like 7 grand or 8 also did not appear in the bank account. So it's now been over 2 weeks since I've had multiple tickets open with Pioneer, and I can't figure out how I can get that money back. I've given them the Trace ID. They say they're looking into it. It's a high priority, but it's been 2 weeks and there's like 31 grand missing. So I've gone from almost being loaned 41 grand or 40 grand to now missing 31 grand.
You're on mute, Tom.
Sorry, question for you. And I appreciate this isn't going to be let me put it this way. I don't think it's good enough that you've been waiting 2 weeks. Their whole business model is about, we give you money to help you cash flow your business. And the very nature of that, they understand that time, money, time is money. And the longer you wait, the worse it is. And by the way, I'm not going to lie, I don't know any bloody bank transactions which take 2 weeks to complete. They generally take 3 days, maybe a week, 5 days, 5 working days, cool. But you can see the transactions. And it's not like Amazon disperse you a nice round 10,000 and everyone gets it in 10,000 chunks and they're trying to allocate which 10,000 chunks. No, your disbursement will be like a really weird number, which is so simple to find. And you go, yeah, there it is. I don't think that service, as a service provider myself, I think 2 weeks is ridiculous. 1 week I could say, okay, fine. 2 weeks is ridiculous. And by the way, I would probably say that, what the is going on? So I think, number one, the fact that you're calling them is fine. But then number two is the fact that because it's been 2 weeks, and I'm not saying, if it was my case, I would, you're an influencer on Twitter, I would be tagging their Twitter daily. Where's my money? Where's my money? Where's my money? If you're thinking about buying these guys, do not use them. Service is shocking. Start document the journey, because at the end of the day, I'm not saying that you should call them out for other people because you don't know the situation, but you do know your situation, and I do believe that your situation right now is unacceptable. And I know as a service provider, if one of my customers was waiting 2 weeks or something, and they called me out on Instagram, I'd be like, fair play, we deserve that. We really deserve that.
Yeah. Besides doing that, is there anything else I can do? I've already called them out on Twitter, but is there
every day, every email, all the time, write them negative reviews. Man, this is my money you're talking about here. I'm a seller. I'm trying to help you here.
Is there legal action that I can take if it gets too long?
You can, but I wouldn't do that. I don't think that's going to help the situation now. Legal action is very long. It's going
to cost a lot as well, right? Yeah.
You do small claims court in the UK. You're US, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're doing it for. Yeah. So I don't know. US is probably expensive legal action.
But they'll have to pay for it though, right?
No.
If they lose, no.
Yeah, but then don't get me wrong, the one thing you got to realize is that they'll have a much bigger legal budget than you will, and they could probably make it last a very long time, which becomes way more than 40,000.
That's true. But cannot sue them then?
Going down the legal route.
Yeah, you can, but America's really litigious. Yeah,
they're going to have way more money than you.
You've got an insurance policy, is that right? In your US, because the US Amazon account.
Yeah.
Speak to them. They'll give you. They probably have legal cover in that as well.
Okay, we make a note of that.
But the one thing I'll say is, if you do go down the legal route, it might be the case that money's tied up for a lot longer because you're under legal proceedings.
Yeah, so that's really think of a worst case scenario. What if it's been 2 months and they're still not giving it back to me? Then what can you do? That's my concern.
Yeah, I think about between now and the next thing. So I'd be writing them reviews negative. I'd be emailing them daily. I'd be tweeting them daily. I would be commenting on every single post that they ever make on any social media and be like, you've taken my money, what's going on? I would want to make their life so much hell that their social media are like boss, their marketing manager, you need to deal with this guy's problem, because right now every single thing we post out is getting negative feedback. We're losing customers, because that's what they really care about. Because you're not kicking up, because you're not saying a problem, they're like, oh look, Gavin doesn't really matter, like, yeah, we'll find his money when we bother. Like, no, sorry, there is someone in their company who could literally go on their bank statements right now, find your money and say, yeah, make the manual transaction, done. But they're not doing it, and I don't believe that high importance, high escalation is like valid. Like 1 week, fine. 2 weeks, no, sorry, not acceptable.
So guys, never use Payoneer. Fucking dreadful. Excuse my language.
Yeah, we need another provider to sponsor this podcast.
It's not Payoneer.
Why did you choose them though? Why did you choose? Was it just because it was the best rate you could see and it was easy? Yeah, I know they're big, but are there other? I don't know.
I know a lot of people have used them as well. A lot of people do use them. And the funny thing is, today I got offered a 100k loan by Amazon.
What, in US?
Yeah.
I've not been offered one.
Have you not?
That's weird.
Mate, do you want to teach you a lesson on how to get loans?
Go for it.
In US? I have no idea. I have no idea.
I have no idea. Let me log in and see if I've actually got one. Yeah, I don't think so. I've not been offered one, which is like...
I've been offered a line of credit as well, but I don't think I can get the line of credit. Wait, hold on. Marcus by Goldman Sachs. Line of credit up to 47.5k. But the weird thing is about the Amazon loan is that it won't let me take less than 100,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been offered nothing.
I got offered 250 one time, and then because I didn't want it, they just stopped sending me any offers, so I don't get any now.
Yeah.
So you've either got to take it or they won't offer you again. So you should take it, Gav, I reckon.
You got to pay back like 5.6k though. You're paying back quite a lot.
What's the percentage?
Within 9 months?
I think it's 13% APR.
But inflation's at 11 anyway, so it's fine.
Is that the way it works though?
Not exactly, but...
Yeah, I'm not going to sell my product for 13% more from now on.
Yeah, but money's not going to be worth as much in a year's time.
But I need the operations to make that happen, and that's what I haven't worked out yet. Like, sure, I can take it, but I can't spend the money, so there's no point. If I come up with a solution where I can spend that much money, then I'll be able to make use of it. But for now, I was only just spending all my money during this Q4. So it's like, what value is an extra 100k going to provide? Yes, it can help me grow, but I need to build the team to make that happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. The thing. That's the hard part, and that's what we built.
Yeah, that's what I probably will have like 4 months from now, but I don't have it right now. So for a 9-month loan, it doesn't make sense for me to take an extra 100 grand because a new VA is not going to be able to spend that either. I can hire 20 new VAs at once, and I still won't be able to spend 100 grand that easy.
Your purchasing's the problem, isn't it? Like, so much.
If we find other deals, we'll need to start going deeper. But like, yeah, it'll be the sourcing and the purchasing. It'll be all of it. We just don't have the operations to handle like another 70% increase in capital.
Wow.
Yeah, we're the same. Well, we've had that problem for years now, so trying to work on it constantly.
So it's like, why would you take a loan where you're going to pay like 6 grand back in fees if you can't make money from it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, if you're not going to get offered it again, are you going to regret it? Because I'm telling you that I haven't been offered them for about 2 years now.
Wow.
So it's either now or never, kind of, which is a bit worrying if you did want to scale up at some point, right? Like proper. Well, obviously, there's always other options, but it's nice to have Amazon giving you that option, and you know if you come good with it, then it's going to keep getting increased, isn't it?
Yeah, I have until like a month from now to decide how I'm going to do it. But it's like, again, it would have been a lot more ideal to get offered this in July rather than here when all the stock.
Welcome to life.
Yeah, all the stock I use it for, right, is going to be sold in like February onwards. So I'm going into like the slowest time of the year in a recession as well. So the idea is that I could stick to very fast selling items and that would make sense. But I still don't have the operations and the team to handle it right now. So I need to do a lot more planning.
People are always going to need to put things on their feet, whether they're inside or outside. So I don't like your limiting beliefs here, Gav. You can do it.
Is it a limiting belief?
Or yeah,
it is a limiting belief. Because there's always going to be shoes that sell throughout the year, even if we're in a massive recession.
They don't stop selling in January, do they?
No.
Yeah. No, it's having a big enough team is what I'm concerned about. I don't have the resources right now to spend that money, basically, is what I'm saying.
It's a 9-month loan?
Yeah.
It's a really bad thing, 9 months. Like, if you're a private label seller, like you need 6 months stock, don't you? Yeah. Maybe they know that what Amazon do, they do numbers, don't they? They're like, Like, if you give them 1 year, they sit on it. If you give them 9 months, they sell it quick, and that helps Amazon's bottom line.
Yeah. If it was 1 year, it'd be perfect. I can make real good use of that then. I don't know.
Yeah,
I need to. Would you?
As
if
is
you
life,
guys did my position,
you don't
would you
get to
guys
choose.
take it?
Yeah, but I have the team.
Pardon?
We're running out of money. We have like 20,000 every week to spend, and like probably by Wednesday, Thursday, we're gone.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we're like I could probably spend another 20,000 a week on top of the 20,000. We could do 40k a week. Fine.
Yeah.
I'd spend that in 5 weeks easy.
This is the thing. So I hired 2 new sources. My main source, he spent like 15 grand last week, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Then my 2 new sources are doing like 1.5k each.
But if you do the maths, like the way I always make the analogy is the fact that it takes about 3 months to churn stock. So if you do 1,000 divided by 12 weeks, you effectively need to spend 10,000 extra a week. That's bad maths, but you understand the point. So you talk about 2 VAs, once they're running. Well, you could do 3 VAs if you want. 3 VAs, 10,000 a week, 3 weeks, repetition, you're done.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Basically, 100k is 3 VAs worth of stock or 3 VAs worth of cash.
Yeah, that's true.
It's up to you, but you do have logistical problems around purchasing. That's your problem. Like, that's why we have way more purchases than we need, because when you have that big thing, like, we can just accommodate it quite quickly, whereas we can't do that when you've only got one purchase.
It's quite interesting. I've never had any capital issues since starting at Amazon, so I've never bothered with any cash flow.
By the way, you're building your business. If you think about your Amazon business, your whole model should be that I have all my money invested in stock, and any money that comes out this week, I have just enough VAs to go and buy more stock for that. Like, because any money sat in the bank is not making you money.
Yeah,
it's losing you money. Yeah, we only make money in stock. So the idea is that we have the ultimate system. We have a perfect system whereby we invest money into stock, and then when it comes out again, that week we invest it back in again. And ideally, that turn is like 3 months, so it's quick enough as well.
And your inventory is increasing in value week on week, right?
And you're making good profits, and you're making a good, like, you may be making 10% on your asset value every single month. And you're like, cool, I have 100,000 in a year, now I have 200,000 in cash. Happy days.
Okay, so I need to stop being a V ... get hiring.
Yeah, because my issue is that I've got an inventory value that's decreasing and my cash pile is increasing, which for anyone who's not in business thinks, oh, that looks great on the outset, but actually I'm not doing a good job. So Gav, you need to take the loan and I need to spend the money in my bank, and then we'll be chasing Tom.
So is your issue then because the inventory limits are doing you in still?
You're that, but obviously also when we did have 45,000 like limit, we weren't making use of that. We were only at half of that. But if we had better sourcing systems and better software and better everything else that we've talked about, then I'm sure I would have been able to get to 45k. But that's a problem for next year that I'm obviously going to work on and hopefully improve upon.
Yeah, and I think the idea is, if I talk about like my UK business, Alex Hormozy talked about this as well. He was like, 2 things. Number one, if you have a business that's just making money, fantastic. Let's call it the business making 3 million a year. Now, if you need to replace yourself, like Alex said in gym launch, you have to replace himself. You have to hire people, which is going to cost the equivalent of $1 million a year. So really, while he's making 3 million a year, he's not. He's actually making 2 million a year and paying himself a salary of 1 million a year, because that's how much his value is worth. So when you're involved in the business, you've got to understand that your business is only making 2 million, not the amount it's making plus how much you're paying yourself or how much your replacement cost is, because you're part of that business operations and that has a cost to it, which you're obviously taking for yourself, but you are working for it. But he said, interestingly, with gym launch, he said, for the moment I replace myself in 2 million, like my profitability, he said, literally, my profitability is half. My God, I'm now free. I have the ability to do other stuff, and I now have the ability to improve the business. And I really think about it in my business, and especially not my UK business. I have like no money in that business, nothing. We're using other people's money, cash, Amazon loans, credit cards, for example, we're using other people's time, VAs, and we're using my knowledge. And by the way, my knowledge I've learned, and all I'm doing is deploying it for like 2 to 3 hours a week. That's it. And what do? We make 5 figures a month in profit. For what? Nothing. And Gavin, you can be in exactly the same situation in the US. You'd be like, yeah, I have my edge doing shoes, and I'm making, let's call it 60, 70% ROI. Fantastic. Well, but you're working. Why not cut the ROI in half, build a team, and now you don't have to. Now you can focus on another passion project, for example. You're not making as much money, but also Alex Hormozy talked about, which I thought was really interesting, is that as entrepreneurs, what we generally tend to see is that we will make enough, we will grow our businesses to the point that we make more money than we can spend, and then we stop growing. Why? Because we kind of understand that there's no need to do any more work because we can't spend what we're making already, which is a really common factor. And I'm there with like my business. I'm like, I don't need more money. So what am I going to do? I wear black t-shirts all the time. I'm not even buying Gucci. But the idea is the fact that then it starts churning it around to say what, he talks about it where he says once you reach that level, you now got to change your mindset from one of not, I now need to make money for myself, from one of now I need my customers need to benefit from my service or my product. And I think for us, it's like, and I talked about it. I had a conversation with another guy yesterday. He was like, I built my business to a point whereby it makes money and I'm really happy and I'm thinking about stepping out. And I'm like, don't do that. Stay in it until it can keep growing without you. So again, that's just a few more levers, maybe an operations manager in place so it can grow, build that system out, because then you can take real time off and then you can go have an accident in Thailand and get a nice tattoo and your business is going to be better than when you left it. Hope don't have an accident, by the way. That's a joke.
Yeah, please don't.
Just on the website chart, I'm going to crash one sec.
But I like the black t-shirt, not Gucci t-shirt comment, because I was today or yesterday I watched a video of some guy interviewing billionaires, and one of them was the UGG founder, and he was saying once they sold and they were making, obviously he was a billionaire, he said that him and his wife didn't go to any fancier restaurants, they didn't change a thing, absolutely nothing. And I always find that interesting because we're out to make more money, but it's actually more about freedom, really, isn't it? It's about doing something you want to do rather than the money. Like, I don't spend very much money really at all.
I think it's about being able to wake up and be like, like they call it like FU money. Like it's like to be able to wake up and be like, what do I want to do? And it doesn't matter. Now, obviously, if you're always going out and shopping Gucci, you've now got to have a lot more FU money. But if you're going out buying cheap Zara black t-shirts, my FU money is a lot lower. And it's like, Gavin says to me like, hey, do you want to come to Thailand? I'm like, yeah, fine, cool. Like the money doesn't matter. It's options. It's giving yourself the ability to have options.
Yeah, that's exactly what one of the other guys did say. He just said it's so nice to wake up in the morning and not have to worry about anything. But on the flip side, he did buy a personal jet for 22 million, which was years ago. So in terms of inflation, that's probably worth more. But I guess some people would get carried away if they became billionaires, right? Like I'm sure I'd make one dumbass purchase and then regret it. But
FTX, buy the company.
Yeah.
That was savage what happened with that, man. Oh my god. But then it's like the private jet might give him more convenience, though, right? So it's worth it for him.
But also,
he said no. But I know what you mean. If you are an influencer and need to travel around a lot and you need that sort of freedom, then maybe. But I don't. If you've got
to like, let's put it in context for us. Like for example, it's like you going out and buying like a Porsche Spider. Like if you've got like $1 million in the bank, going out and buying a Porsche Spider, it's going to make a small dent in it. But like, it really doesn't matter. And you'd be like, I just always wanted one. And then you realize it didn't make me any happier. That's fine, because you're probably buying stuff that you never realized. But like, I think a lot of things that we kind of learned is like materialism doesn't make you happier. It's it's experiences, it's giving back, it's kind of personal development, growth, overcoming challenges. Sometimes we do like to splash out and buy the jet or the Porsche Spider or the Gucci handbag. Like so long as we don't focus that as our happiness, then you're going to generally live a good life rather than like I need to be luxury 5-star all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, guys, I'm going to
enjoy it for 10 seconds.
Thai green curry in Thailand is amazing. It's so healthy, it's so clean, and it's so good.
Gavin likes it so much that when he's a multi-million billionaire, what he's going to do is he's going to call someone up in Thailand and he's going to get it flown over first class, of course, to him wherever he is in the world, because it's that.
No, I'm just going to like buy the guy out. He can just come live in my area as a
personal Thai chef. Like that's the dream. That would be my lavish expense, I think.
But there's this place down the road. I've literally went there today for breakfast, dinner, and supper, and I had red Thai curry every single time. Crazy.
Supper. So British. Well, I think on this philosophical note, we should probably end because it's gym time for me. We've been going for 50 minutes. We can talk about travel and anything else next week. What do you reckon, lads?
Gavin next week's going to tell us about Philippines. He's going to the Philippines before coming out to Mexico, so I'd love to hear about that. I'm off to Cancun in December.
Filipino December, middle of December. No.
So you can tell us next week about why you're going to the Philippines, what the plan is, why you're doing it all, and then go from there. So stay tuned for the next episode if you want to hear about Gavin, Philippines, me in Cancun, and Seth, how the gym was. The excitement.
I love it how we said stay tuned, but by the time they see the episode, they'll all be out.
Yeah. What's the next one? Put it around here.
Click on episode 9.
And if you'd like to subscribe, click the button. Ask any questions you'd like to ask, because we are here to answer them.
Guys, can I put an announcement for this on Twitter now? Are we good to like publicly push it out there?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, of course.
All right,
it's live.
Twitters.
Seth's done a really good job promoting it. He didn't even tell us it was live.
Yeah.
It's called a stealth launch, guys. It's a stealth launch.
Awful.
Stealth launch where even the co-founders don't even know it's launched.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that there's a rhythm. So now we're in a rhythm. We know what we're doing. It'll be churning out. It'll be like our inventory. It's compounding now.
We'll get Pioneer to get involved with it as well. It'll be a disaster later on.
Perfect.
Well, on
Thanks
that
everyone for
note,
watching and listening.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Peace out, guys. Thanks so much for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao for now.